Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Live. We're testing out some lanterns from one of the new nature sets. And what I've done, there's 3 different ones here. And what I have done, if I can find them here, 3 different sizes right here. A grouping of 3, grouping of 2, and a single one right here. And I've stamped them out on a piece of yellow paper so I can get that inherent glow, so I won't have to do everything from scratch, but I can also have that light through that area, that transitioning tone up there. And then what I've done is I've gone in and colored it a little bit to create this glow on here with a little bit of red and yellow around on the perimeter to make it look like it's glowing. That has been mounted onto a piece of gold cardstock. But what I've done is I've stamped out that lantern right there. And then what I've done is I've just cut them out of this piece like this, and I've pasted it right up on top of here. So these ones that I've stamped in here are kind of like a guide. And that way I can have that reflection down below like that. So these little areas right here, that's not the one that's on the yellow cardstock, but it's just stamped directly onto the foil. And then we're going to put this scene right above it like that. Look how three-dimensional those lamps look like they are. I guess they are really three-dimensional, but they are flat on here like that. But I guess they are kind of pasted on top of this foil. But I thought it really gave a really good illusion of these kind of flowing lantern type of thing. I've placed the new bridge over here like there's some water coming into this body down here. We stamped out our composition up top here, but what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to really tone this in now with some warm colored shadows and light to really define that area up there and to give it a little bit of kind of body and spirit. All right, so this is a piece of quarter page semi-gloss cardstock because I wanted to use some colored pencils on there to make it get this part go nice and fast. These little overhanging branches I just stamped out, they're a little bit wet, so let's heat set them. All right, heat set and ready to ink. Some of it might smear a little bit, but I do so much toning on here that that really doesn't matter. So if you get that, and if you color as much as I do and layer as much as I do, kind of initial kind of smears really don't come into play very much at all in the end result. Okay, so let's see. What color scheme do I want to go with? I'm going to make it a golden tone scene. I just figured I have all these inks from the live stream last night where we did a golden, toned looking scene. And let's see. I'm tempted to just go straight in with some alcohol inks and colored pencils, but I think it's just a little bit better to get a little bit of a foundation base layer in here with some dye-based inks first, just to give it a little bit more of a, kind of a continuity over all of the different objects and areas. So let's do that here. This is just a real kind of, it's peach Bellini, so it's a little bit of a warm, light, orangish tone. And we want this top part to harmonize. I went with the gold color down below just because I thought it would be a little bit closer to the glowing yellow light from these floating lanterns in here. So, and I want to do the same on the upper portion of this composition. card. Okay, now she also has a lantern, so I want this to be illuminated around here too, okay? One little thing that I did in here was these trees down here, I took a lot of ink off the bottom portion of it, so when I stamped it down, she wouldn't be in front of a really dark object in the background, so we wouldn't be able to see her, so I wiped off a lot of the ink off of that background tree. When you start off with a re-inker fluid on your applicator, whatever it might be, sponge or anything, I'm using a paper towel here, you're really applying quite a bit of ink at one time. So it really makes quick work of this toning in here. Look how it kind of, you know, just one color, it's already starting to glow a little bit more. And when you start off with a color that's so light in value, it's really easy to apply and not worry about darkening something too much, you know. Like even if you do go a little bit overboard with this base layer color, you have so many other colors that you're going to use after that. So it doesn't really, you know, I guess it matters a little bit. Like if I want some areas white, you know, don't tone them out. But I do go for some pretty good coverage with this. All right, let's see. Let's go in here. Let's try to make some reasonably quick work of this. Okay. Go in with this as an alcohol marker. Here. Going in, coloring my trees. Remember, this is supposed to be moonlight, so not that you'd see a bunch of warm colored light here in this situation, but I'm not coloring the trees something like green or something like that in this setting here. Okay, coloring the bridge right there. All right. Same thing down here. I want to be a little bit careful when I'm coloring now. I don't want to totally eradicate her in terms of, you know, my whatever subject matter kind of, I don't want to eradicate her silhouette. Okay, so I don't want to make it too dark behind her, so we're going pretty light right here. All right, that was, I don't know what color that is, some sort of beige-ish tone. Let's see, let's go with some gray here. Yeah, it's kind of a warm gray. This isn't a formula or anything like that. I'm just kind of winging it here. I'm just trying to take my colors incrementally darker with each tone. I don't want it too, I don't want to jump too much because it's harder to kind of blend in that way. So I take each step somewhat, kind of methodically and, you know, just taking little, incrementally darker tones to my objects and areas. All right, so that is that. Let's get our bearings here and see how that's going to be looking here. In our piece, let's go in with some more gray tones here. Here's another gray, quite a bit darker than that other one. So I'll be really careful about that. It doesn't apply quite so well. It's a little bit dark. I was going to say it doesn't apply so dark because it's, you know, this page is getting a little bit saturated with ink. But it's a pretty big leap here. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Let's take a smaller jump here. Let's go with that, something like that. It's just kind of like a neutral gray, but overlapping some of the warmer tones, it becomes a warm gray. I'm leaving the top of this bridge here kind of illuminated because the moonlight is hitting it like that. Now, let's see. Let's get a little bit more control and blending with some colored pencils. Sometimes I'm able to get a little bit more nuanced with colored pencils because you can use them really very lightly, like this, and get, you know, whatever, a 5% version of it, of whatever color you're using. And you can do it in a very specific area, okay? So right here, I'm getting a little bit closer to my moon. If I take the moon and I make it a little bit darker around the perimeter of it, the moon, by contrast, should look a little bit lighter. And we'll take care of this area around this girl with lantern. And let's see, let's start to address that lantern now. Let's go with a kind of a warm light like this. And then that warm light, hopefully, well, it's not that lit, I'll hit it with some white ink or white pen or acrylic paint pen too. But hopefully that little lantern right there will kind of match up these other lanterns. Let's take a look and see how it's coming. That. Let's keep building it up, and we'll move into a little bit of a darker tone here. I kind of want to make this sky a little bit darker. I think it looks good as is if I was only making this top portion right here, but how it's kind of, you know, a part of that lower portion, I kind of want to bring a lot more attention to those floating lanterns, you know, and that being kind of the main focal point of the scene. So I'm kind of having to kind of subdue, you know, some of these things that are happening in the top portion of the scene. We want it to, kind of have this top portion kind of be something kind of more as like a, I don't know, whatever, something to accentuate the lower. You know, we want it to be interesting in itself, but we don't want it to compete too much for, you know, a certain portion of that attention. Hello, Bonnie. How are you? It was an impromptu late night live tonight, so no one knows I'm even on. Unless I have notifications set, like you probably do. All right, look at that now. Look at these lanterns are starting to stand out a little bit more. I think that looks pretty three-dimensional, though, don't you? with these lanterns down below like that. I really like that look. Lanterns, lanterns working as hoped so far. You can come up with these like, certain design kind of designs and how they work in theory, but really until you kind of, use them and see them in action, you never really know for sure. Usually, or it's just to what degree do they work, in certain situations. And these ones are looking really three-dimensional. And plus, I liked it how I stamped it out onto that the yellow paper. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a bit. All right, so warming this up a little bit. So we're going in with this top portion. I'm just kind of giving everything kind of this overall, whatever layer of this color here. Just to warm it up a little bit, and bring a little bit more life into it, I guess. Let's see. Orange? I don't know. All right, let's see here. Aren't those lanterns fun, Bonnie? About it's an excuse to put, I've always done kind of shadows in my water areas, and then it's usually something like moonlight or light or whatever, kind of reflecting off, not just lakes or anything like that, but meadows or anything like that. But this is an excuse to put like these glowing lights into a setting like that. And when it comes to things like reflection cards or something like that, or where I have like darker things reflecting down here, you can put, if it's a body of water, I guess it doesn't have to be these don't have to be floating, I guess. You can have them in a landscape or something like that, like like a, whatever, a lantern festival or something like that. But I think that looks pretty cool. Or I think these would look great flanking a path or trail. Boy, that would look pretty good, huh? If you had that flanking some sort of pathway leading into something. You had a lot of experimentation ahead. All right, so coming up here with another brown. Did I already use this brown? I might have already used this, but you can kind of apply it like this, and then if you want to go darker, then you just go to the next value or jump up, 10% or something like that, 5%, and then go darker, so you have that transitioning amount of tone like that. So you can use like a deeper saturated amount of it in maybe the darker areas. Okay. Sometimes the brightest colors are in the shadows. Okay. So a little bit more intensity. Colored pencils, you just kind of layer it a little bit thicker. All right. Let's go to black here. Another 4-inch. At least it's we're talking about binders these days, huh, Bonnie? Back in the old days when it was wood-mounted stamps, people were talking about, I got to get in another drawer or something like that, to store, I don't know, whatever amount of stamps it is. Nowadays, like a 3-ring binder. I mean, depending on the size of the stamp, but, we're talking about something that's holding hundreds of stamps, and organizing them really, concisely and everything like that in a binder, with the unmounted or cling foam mounted or clear stamps. um, a lot of stampers, were talking about storage furniture back when, right? Those stamping cabinets they used to sell, used to make and sell. I did I think I did a video recently or something like that of this stamping cabinet that my mom gave to me when from when she was a stamper. But at every convention at one point in time, there was like some kind of, usually they weren't professional cabinet makers, but it was usually some guy that did woodworking where his wife became a stamper and then he made her, cabinets, drawers, with the right height for wood mounted stamps. And then it's like, hey, uh, he starts making it for people at her club, or something like that. And then pretty soon he's, it's like, business, and selling them at the different conventions. But that was usually how it went, I think, from the ones I seem to recall. But it was like a stamping, whatever, 5 drawer stamping cabinets on wheels. Or some people, they were always kind of keeping their eyes open for like a lot of pre-internet stuff too. You can find it easily now, but like if some business was going out of business that happened to have flat files, like a architectural company or something like that, where they have those flat file cabinets where they'd store their blueprints in. Stampers would love those ones. Those were like really big finds, or they'd find something like that at the thrift store or something. All right, that's some black right there. Just gonna make things a little bit darker around the perimeter. Hello, July. How are you? All right, there we go. We're doing lanterns on the lake type of thing here. Oh, the older stamps. I don't think I'm using any stamps that have been discontinued yeah, whenever I'm making these videos. But yeah, I have discontinued some of them. The thing with the when I discontinue stamps, it's when on some of them, my rubber guy, my current guy that presses my rubber, if he hasn't made it before, then I have to have a plate made. Not a plate, but a mold, a matrix board made just for that one stamp. And if the stamp is just not quite popular enough, I don't have that mold made because, those molds are fairly expensive to make these days. Before, some people that pressed rubber didn't even really charge you for it. It was so inexpensive. But these days, it's not only pricier, but it's in some cases it's hard to find some of those materials. It's like those matrix boards because most people aren't using. Most manufacturers, they've like the manufacturers they're making clear stamps, so the rubber ones just aren't being made, and it's been the case for a while now. There's still a few of us doing it. A little bit of yellow around here being cast by that lantern. But yeah, so there's a lot of suppliers for the just rubber stamping in general. It wasn't even just for the art rubber stamping, it's for every type of rubber stamping. It used to be in the old days you'd see these rubber stamp stores around, you know, where they would not craft rubber stamping, but just like business rubber stamps. I mean, those ones have been long gone. You know, they were probably gone like, I don't know, 20 years ago, or a lot of them. But there used to be stores, you know, in places like that. The business rubber stamping manufacturers used to use all these different materials. So when you get those business usages gone, you know, it's going to trickle down into the, you know, the hobby style of usage of those same materials. Anyway, thus, you know, cloud with crescent moon is discontinued. Unless I put it on a like a set in the future or something like that. All right, let me see here. I've just been using a lot of colored pencils to kind of round everything out a little bit. Sometimes the colored pencils get a little bit, I like them just as colored pencils, but sometimes if I'm using them for a certain purpose, for my purposes, I like it a little bit more rich and glowing. Colored pencils have a little bit of a different spirit to them. They're, you know, they're kind of mellow and, you know, something. They're not quite as deep, but they're certainly more textural. So I like using them together. But if I want things a little bit more bright and deep, then I like to use some more liquid types of media in conjunction with, you know, things like colored pencils. So going in and adding a little bit more right over the top of those colored pencils. So it's a little bit underneath and over the top of the colored pencils. It was always interesting back when is some people would find certain stamps of mine and at some point in time, and they'd pick them up like on eBay or something like that. Some people kept track of like codes, and they've noticed, wait, you know, where's like O13G, you know? Because they'd be checking off like stamps in their collection or something like that. And where's 13, you know? I'd say, well, it was like discontinued. So some people would like pick it up off like eBay or something like that. Now, O13 has since been like re-released at one point in time. But yeah, it's always kind of interesting. All right, so this is the top portion. If you just kind of joined in, and we're doing a reflection card here. This is supposed to be like a little pond or lake in here. And I've stamped these lanterns from the new set, one of the new sets, onto a piece of yellow paper like that. But look at this. See there, that doesn't look like that, right? You know? So what I did here, I knew it wouldn't, you know, just using one, you know, monochromatic piece of paper here. So what I've done is I've gone into this. Let me see if I can do it again here. And I've gone in and colored this to get extra toning in here, okay, like this. Kind of leave a little bit of the yellow of the paper down here, though. Don't color it all in, okay? So that's a little bit of like a yellow, orange. And then here's orange like this, and I've kind of gone a little bit more, I wouldn't say perimeter, but I don't take that color in quite as far. So I'm trying to get these tonal, well, I don't know, maybe I'll need to take it down a little bit more. I'm trying to describe what I did, but I think I've kind of forgotten what I did. A little bit, you know, here I'll show you. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so this was a little bit of red here. I wanted that red. Now this one, okay, yeah, this one was a little bit more perimeter, like this. Okay, so I'm kind of going around on the edge like here. So I get these gradations going through here, okay? So it's going from dark, lighter, lightest down here. Okay, but that didn't look really quite exactly what I wanted. So I went over it with like a a yellow pen like this, and I'm coming into these areas like in here and filling that in like so. Okay, like this. Now see, doesn't it look like it's glowing a little bit more now? Like that. Okay. Now you can do this on white paper, but I mean that yellow kind of gives us a big head start, you know. I have a feeling that I'll be doing a lot of cutouts with these lanterns just because it's like it really looks like it's glowing to me like that when it's, you know, you just don't. And see, when you stamp it onto that yellow paper there, I have these gradations going up through that area on the stamp design itself, okay? And then all those little subtle areas in there, instead of it being white, it's yellow inherently, okay? And then if I start coloring in that, if it was on a white piece of paper, I mean, you can do it, you know, you just do it, you know, with a StazOn ink, and if you're coloring with dye-based inks, you know, it shouldn't really smear or something like that. But I don't know, this is just a good way to do it without having to, you know, really worry about that. And like cutting out like, you know, like rectangles like this, you know, that's easy. Okay, now what I was telling people earlier, if you just joined in, was I pre-stamped this out. You know, that's stamped out on this gold paper as like a guide. And then see, I get these shadows going down here. Those, you know, those little shadow areas like that. So I'm just cutting out this top portion like this, okay? And here's that shadow portion down there. But see, I'm just putting this right on the top there. So I get those shadows down there. You know, so I don't want to be cutting out these little squiggly things that, you know, it'd be a hassle. So you just stamp them out there and just put, you know, just put the portion that you need to be glowing in cutout form. And it's simple, you know, really simple to cut out, you know, like I said, a rectangle out of a little thing. So, you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do the scene that's called like, you know, Lake of 1,000 Lanterns or something like that. I don't want to cut this out 1,000 times, but like that, right? And see that right there? And look at that. It looks like it's like glowing in 3-dimensional now. So we were just mentioning too, I was mentioning, you know, Bonnie and I were talking about, you know, if these lanterns, I mean, it'd really be cool to have this. You can have this on a horizon card too, and have these like flanking some kind of pathway. But I think these look really cool, like floating in the water. Don't they look really 3-dimensional? Like that? Makes it looks like they're sticking out. And thus, you know, something else for me to geek out about, you know, rubber stamp geeking out, that is. All right, now see this right here. I put that lady with the lantern right there. And I'm going to try to make a connection between her and these lanterns down here by doing that same little kind of reddish glow. You know, this is like a tiny little lantern right here. I'm trying to do this within a small space like that, but I don't know if you can tell that right. I put that little red perimeter around that interior lit lantern like that. So that's like there's some reddish tinge in here and there's reddish tinge in here. So you've kind of created this little thing going up here. Oh, since this is a horizon card, okay, here's one thing I did. I stamped these out one at a time in here. And then I put this up here just to reference, because I don't want to be, well, I kind of covered her head a little bit there. You know, I guess from a certain angle like that, her head's covered up with this lantern. But the things that you really want, kind of your focal points to be reflecting down here, try not to put like, I won't want this lantern right here. Or I won't want a lantern to be in front of that moon, because the moon's kind of an important thing reflecting down here, and then she is too. Yeah, I covered them up a little bit, so we can look at her like that instead. But look at that. Yeah, how 3-dimensional that looks. But it isn't, it's flat. Let's see. Hello, Cynthia, how are you? Hello, Sheila. Good to see you. What color foils does everyone have? Does everyone have some gold foil? Mirrored foil or silver. I was just wondering if anyone had any other colors of foil. All right, let's see. Let's add in some... this top portion of the card should be kind of important, but after I put that bottom... After I pair it with that bottom portion, for me, that bottom portion is like the... You know, it's where it's the part that's got all of my attention. So let's do, I don't know, let's just do a little bit more toning up here. I'm going to close off the top of this a little bit. A little bit of a vignette. See, it's really dark right here and here. When you do that, you're closing off the top. You don't have to close it off completely, okay? But this right here kind of rounds it off like that. So when people are kind of looking into a piece like this, you know, it kind of keeps them, you know, they're going into here and it kind of keeps them corralled. Their attention in your piece, you know, you don't want them kind of jumping out of there or something like that. It's the feng shui of cards, card making, or the visual imprisonment, whatever way you want to think about it, of a viewer. Let's see. You can pop them up with black foam. That's a good idea too, Bonnie. Yeah, you bet. So you got to do, Bonnie, is you pop up the closer ones in the black foam. You know what I mean? And then the ones in the background, or you have it on like a thinner foam or something, you know, so it's not popping up quite as much. But I think if you do like the foreground ones, the big ones like this, popping up, you know, you know, in a reflection card or not. I don't know if I need it on the reflection card. That really looks like it's sticking out though, which it kind of is. It's just, you know, it's just the thickness of the, you know, that paper though. But if I was doing it on a flat thing, I think that pop-up sounds really great. I would do like these ones in pop-ups, these bigger ones. And then when you go in the background, just flat on there. So you'd have like these dimensional, what dimensional variation, I guess. See this right here? This, you know, I can have another one like right in here too. Maybe just take like these two. See, these three are kind of together, but I split them apart so you can do separate ones, but like another one. See this little area back in here? It's not really terribly interesting. It's really dark. So if I put one like right here, I think that would look pretty good too. I don't know. This looks like a little pathway though. I don't know. But then again, if I put one right here, it might look like it's like floating out from there into here more. But see, I can illuminate something right here though, with another lantern in there. It's kind of nice having like, okay, we can put these like light sources in our pieces now, you know, and it makes like sense, you know, from a lighting perspective. Not that we have to have lighting, you know, that, but you know, you can do it anything you want, but I don't know. It's just an extra kind of layer in there. I'm going to do this right here though. Speaking of that, I'm going to put like a couple fireflies right here so that those would reflect down into that dark area in there, I think. All right. I'm not a good fussy cutter. I'm not either, Bonnie. I guess I can. I cut out rubber all the time. But when it comes to stamping, I don't want a gazillion curves or anything like that. So, see, when I'm designing these types of stamps, I'm thinking about that. What I don't want to do, and then I can design it into the stamp to where when we're using them in application, and avoid time or something like that, I put all that work into the design instead, which saves me a ton of time later on, you know, when it comes to usage. So it's a good thing that I'm kind of a lazy stamper. A lot of people wouldn't believe that, but I am. I do want certain types of effects or something like that, and I'll do whatever effort it takes to get there. But I try to put it all into the stamp design, so I'll spend a lot of time on the stamp designs and, you know, whatever, fuss over that portion of it so that I don't have to do it a gazillion times later on when I'm using the stamp. So if I can do certain types of shadows or lighting or something like that and get it all into the design, then I figured, okay, every time I use that design, I'm saving that amount of time having to do whatever process I need to do when using that stamp. So thank God for the, laziness. As a user of the, my own stamps too. So, all right, so adding in some highlights in here. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but some of these areas in here got a little muddled. All right, so it's kind of bringing this area to life. Let's do these here. I'll do my little fireflies like this in a tan pen. I can do them in white too, but I think I'll do it in this beige one right here. Because I don't want these, it's not about the fireflies in this scene, it's about the, the lanterns, for me. So I'll put a little bit of light into this lantern too. This one got a little bit dark. All right. And I got the bridge here. A few little highlights. I'm clogged. Here we go. Oh, I know what I did. I was scribbling around in that colored pencil area, and my tip here got clogged with wax, colored pencil wax. There we go. Sheila, it was super windy for you today. In the middle of summer, when we were up in the Oregon coast, it was in Newport. It was like super windy and cold there. For most of the couple of days we were there, I was kind of used to it. Well, haven't been living in Lompoc, but I lived in Lompoc, California, on the central coast up there, and it was always windy in there. But it totally reminded me of my hometown. All right, any little highlights down here, like that. See those little highlights like that? That really kind of, it just brings a little bit of life into those areas, and sharpness, and I guess depth, if it represents a little highlight on some of these branches, overhanging branches, where it gets really murky in there. So see these little things like that? Everything gets a little bit murky with the amount of coloring that I do sometimes, or a lot of times, in fact. But I just bring in that sharp crispness back into it with, usually a paint pen. So And a lot of times when I go overboard with that and it's like too much, it's like crawling with little dots or something like that, then you just go back in and I mellow it out, those out with the white pigment ink, or something like that. You can add more color to it if, too many dots stand out. Then just, you can color a dot with a gel pen. It's like, okay, I don't like that. It's, it's white. It's usually if I'm using white or something, you can go in and you just color those little dots over, or use a colored pencil and it'll just go right over it. All right, let's see. All right, let's go in and add in, like I said, that white pigment ink here. And I was really careful to retain some of that white of the card in this one, because I knew I wanted to get pretty dark up here for those lanterns down below. I thought it would stand out a little bit more. But I retained that white in there so that I can use some of this white pigment ink, because if you go over this with all tones in here, like if it all become like, if the lightest tone was like this warm tone right in here, the white added into it, it stands out too much a lot of times. It doesn't make sense. What you have in here is if you have a little bit of that white of the cardstock, showing through a little bit, you're saying that light is shining on, that color of light is shining on in the scene, so that you can use this color right here. Now, I guess if you had like a beige, pigment ink that was fairly light, that would work on a beige-ish warm toned color scheme as a highlight, as a softening light, maybe. All right, so adding some of this over this moon, just to soften it up a little bit. Okay. And see, I'm putting some of it over that tree like that. Okay, I can't use too much of this. It's standing out like I was just talking about a little bit too much in some of those areas, so if it looks funny, you just kind of wipe it off. Okay, see, so I'm just putting a little bit right there. And I think it would look cool right around her, possibly. She's in the mist a little bit like that, and it kind of puts a little bit of that moonlight around at her feet too, so it becomes a little bit interactive. These little flies like that, fireflies, we'll try to illuminate them a little bit. I won't go as light, maybe, as I usually do. I don't know, maybe that is. I don't know, I guess they won't compete for attention. Let me see, I'm going to put a little bit of light in that lantern there. Like that, so you get that. Okay. And then we have that, like that. Yeah, see those little lights like that are reflecting down here, so it kind of illuminated this area down below, which is kind of nice with reflection cards. Any effort you make up here doubles in the reflected area, so it's like half the work for twice the payoff. All right, let me see something here. I'm going to put a little bit of this right in these. Let me see, which side was I using just now? I want to see if I can put a little bit of extra glow into these. I don't want to add too much. I don't think I need to, but it might add to the illusion of glowing light or whatever. I don't know, it's an illusion. I think that looks pretty good here, since this was done on yellow. So this isn't very much lighter than that yellow. But I think I think it looks pretty good. All right, let's take a look here. If you just joined in, I stamped out my lanterns on a piece of this yellow paper here, okay? Just in black ink. And then I colored them in with a little bit of a colored pencil. I made this little perimeter kind of glow in here. And then I stamped out these lanterns again onto this gold cardstock. And then I just cut out the top portion of the lantern, like right up here, not with the reflections, and I just glue them right over the top of it. And then there's your little glowing, whatever, glowing, floating, glowing lantern scenario. Okay, let's see. Here we go. I'm trying to get this at a good angle for you guys to see. I like it these cards at like 45-degree angles like that. But anyway, fairly, I don't know, fairly dimensional, it looks like. I think those lanterns did a pretty good job. I wasn't quite sure, you know, what these would look like in that glowing tone area. Like right in here. Okay, where I've added in all that tone right into there. And it was kind of in theory how, you know, I wanted it to look. But like I was saying, until you use certain things in application, you're never really quite sure if they're going to work as you had hoped. So, I don't know. This is a little bit more, I think it worked better than I'd hoped, you know. And it was super easy to color those lantern portions down there again. And I colored them with a, you know, a couple colored pencils like this and the yellow. So, yeah, I don't know. Now you have use for kind of a, you know, our whatever yellow paper like that. It wasn't even very bright. I thought I needed a little bit of a brighter one, like a canary yellow. But I don't know, this dull one works pretty good because this one right here, it's a little bit lighter, so the canary yellow would be brighter. I guess it would work too, but this one, I don't know, it looks like it's illuminated a little bit more because it's just like a duller light. And then where I got the intensity was from adding a little colored pencil around it. So, yeah. But, yeah, pretty fun stuff. It's bothering me like that. It's like this. So, I don't know. We'll have to try some different things with those lanterns. I think you can do them in whatever color scheme you want too. You can have a, you know, if you want to save like energy, you can make like an LED light in there and make it kind of a bluish tone. Let's see here. I'm really bad when I'm doing the mounting foam on my stamps. Oh, do you use cling foam on your stamps, Sheila? Gold, silver, blue, teal, and red. That's what I was curious about, Bonnie. If people had like mirrored other colors. I have gold, silver, and red in terms of that mirrored one. I have other colors of foil, but they're not real mirrored. So I was wondering if there were other colors out there. The teal one sounds really good to me. I do have some red. The red for me, though, it doesn't, you know, it's so dark, it's not as reflective, but I want to experiment with that a little bit. Maybe put like some kind of like light, I don't know, full moon or something like that to reflect in that darker red one that I have. But the blue would be awesome too. Or is that like a deep blue, like a navy blue? Or is it like a light blue? I would love to have a mirrored light blue cardstock, metallic cardstock. Wait, green also? See, I don't know when you got those things, but there with certain types of surfaces, I think there used to be, although we have, a lot of stuff these days, but I think there might have been more of certain types of cardstocks, yeah, I don't know, 15 years ago, back when they were doing more printing out there. So, yeah. Work smarter, not harder. That's a good, yeah, I'm in such a agreement with that. Hello, Susan, how are you? Yeah, those lanterns are fun. Okay, so this is one of those that I had in mind when I was working on those designs. I really wanted to see what those lanterns would look like and illuminated things within the landscape. So I want to do that, and here's the lanterns right here. But see this lantern right here, like that. It goes like this. Okay, I'm gonna put like hanging branches or something like that, and then I'm gonna have these lanterns. I have them in two sizes. This one's really small, because we have trees that we have to use in our scenes. But I think these lanterns kind of hanging out of trees or on tree branches or something like that will look pretty interesting and add a little bit of an extra whimsical element in the pieces. So, yeah, putting I don't know, whatever extra illumination where the illumination in most of my scenes, yeah, I'm trying to think if not all of them, it was like a natural types of illumination, reflections or something like that, or fireflies. Sky figures, certainly, but I don't know. These ones right here, floating bags on the water. Who knew? So I just hadn't thought about doing that before, but I'm thinking about it now because, it's just fun stuff. So probably, I don't know, have to think about other types of those, types of things in the future. I need to do things like, simple things too, like trees in the background. We can just like draw in like little lines and put like, you know, um, paint pen dots on them, and then you do that little glowing thing with the thing and have like these strings of lights going through somewhere too. I think that'd be really fun and interesting to do. You can do them in conjunction with these lanterns too, like in someone's garden, or having a garden party or something like that. I think that would be cool. Well, Michelle, how are you? Good to see you. A little lantern festival going on. Lantern Festival for one. Or maybe these are all kind of going out there. Wasn't there? There wasn't. What was that? There was that animated piece a few years ago where they were putting all those lanterns on the water. I guess you can have these lanterns. Just don't do them with the reflection. You can have them those things, where they do those floating. Um, and it's like they're not like hot air balloons, but it's got that idea to it. That was in some animated piece too. Was it? It wasn't Brave. It was that. Oh, I can't think of that Disney one, where they had that lantern thing going on. I think it was like Kuma and the Six Strings, or I don't know. I can't remember those names of those movies, but I think they put a bunch of those little lanterns on the water at some kind of festival. But I don't know. Saw those movies like whatever, like 15 years ago. So finally getting around to something like that here. It takes me a while. Hunky Dory Miss Miri card essentials, different colors. I got them at Is that still around though? The Miri cards. There's that Miri lava. Is that having anything to do with that one? Or was that mixed in there? Or is that a completely separate thing? Is Miri just kind of this generic kind of term? Or is that Miri? Yeah, because I have that Miri lava paper. I don't know, where is it? Somewhere around here. That someone gave me some of their pieces. But they ordered it where it was like a Oh, I don't even know where it is, but it's that really cool kind of metallic holographic, but it's that wavy looking one. Oh man, that would be really cool too down here in the water. I don't think it's not mirrored though. Oh, okay. But it could look really great as like a watery surface. It just wouldn't be reflective. I'm gonna see. There's all kinds of things that we can do too. So here's this like blue foil, but see, it's not reflective. But you can do like a blue, area down. I wouldn't do it with this warmed colored scene up here, but you can do this down here, like in a blue tone, and have these warm lights against it. I think that might be kind of cool too. I'll have to play around with that. And maybe do a blue tone scene up here, so like nighttime bluish tones or something like that, and you just have these glowing orangish warm lights in the water like that. Huh. All right. Thanks. Hello, Jeannie. How are you? Jeannie! Your stamps will get to you at some point in time. Yeah. Jeannie, you got to try out one of these reflection cards sometime. Do it with your technique, though. Can you imagine all those textures and everything and different movements that you have up in your sky? Just doubled in your reflection down below. Probably, silver ones for your a lot of your monochromatic color schemes like that would be really cool. Thanks for jumping in and checking it out, everyone. Thanks, Bonnie. Hope you liked it, and yeah. Think about some different lanterns in the landscape scenarios. Good night, everyone.